Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry
me home. I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home. A band of angels coming after me, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home.
To all of you, it is my complete privilege to welcome you to this truly a celebration of life for Mary Ownby, our beloved, as many of us called her, our Mother Mary. I got a giggle at the fact that we're beginning this celebration of life with Mary actually singing. A long-standing joke with Mary and I and many of the people at our Unity congregation. Mary wanted so badly to be able to sing. And we teased about that for many years, about the fact that I wouldn't let her sing. And so today is the perfect opportunity for her to be able to sing, to begin her own memorial celebration. This is very daunting, I want to say to you. Oh, by the way, I am Taylor Stevens, Reverend Taylor Stevens. I have been Mary's minister, but beyond that, her friend for well over 22 years. It is a complete privilege, as I said, to be able to officiate at this memorial celebration. I will confess right from the beginning, I have never officiated at a memorial virtually. And so in these unprecedented times that we are living, certainly there are thousands of people who have needed to memorialize their beloveds virtually. And so we gather here today. I'm aware that we have people all over the United States for many different places in Mary's life journey. We even have people internationally. So this is the first virtual experience such as this that I have participated in. It is also, though it is not the first time that I have said, and authentically, that this is a celebration of life, I don't know that that has ever been as true as it is for Mary Ownby. I have never known anyone that was as happy, that as enjoyed life more, or that gave more love than did Mary Ownby. Regardless of what, where you knew Mary from, whether it was from her life in Michigan, her life as an Adrian Dominican, her life here in Florida, both as a teacher, a principal in the Catholic school system, or whether you knew her through her marriage, her profound and beautiful marriage with Dillard, whether you knew her after Dillard's passing, here as a part of our Unity community, wherever you met Mary. It reminds me of the beautiful saying of Maya Angelou. You may not remember what she said, you may not remember what she did, but you'll always remember the way she made you feel. And That certainly, I'm sure we can all agree, we remember how Mary made us feel. She was truly a living embodiment of love. And so as we begin to open into a shared prayer, I want to do so by reading one of Mary's favorite writings. It is by St. Augustine. I have no idea the countless times Mary and I referred to this, read this together, shared this. I can still hear her exclaim as she thought about this particular writing of St. Augustine. Hear it with your heart. And it goes like this. Late have I loved you, O beauty ever ancient, ever new. Late have I loved you. You were within me, but I was outside, and it was there that I searched for you. In my unloveliness, I plunged into the lovely things which you created. You were with me, but I was not with you. Created things kept me from you, yet if they had not been in you, they would not have been at all. You called, you shouted, you broke through my deafness. You flashed, you shone, and you dispelled my blindness. You breathed your fragrance on me. I drew in breath, and now I pant for you. I have tasted you. Now I hunger and thirst for more. You touched me, and I burn for your peace. Let's take those words into a prayer connection, being aware that we are from multiple and perhaps even from some non-identified faith traditions. As we breathe into the energy, that feeling that arises as we think of, as we remember Mary, whether you are from the Jewish tradition, the Christian tradition, the Catholic tradition, the unity thought system, whatever religious or non-religious background you may come from, however you may identify the source. Let's, in this moment, think of Mary. Catch a vision of Mary. Feel the feeling that Mary made us feel. Feel that loving embrace. That loving embrace is the embrace of Source itself. We have been blessed to know this woman who embodied love, who embodied God. We celebrate the love that will never die. We do so gratefully. And so it is. Amen. Now we will be blessed by the beautiful voice of Trish Yancey. Trish is our associate spiritual leader at Unity of the Palm Beaches. Mary's favorite musical was The Sound of Music, and she had a couple favorite songs from that show musical that became a movie. Mary loved that movie. She loved a scene in particular. This song is actually not from that scene, the scene where Maria and Captain Von Trapp finally acknowledge their love and sing that wonderful song, I Must Have Done Something Good. But This song is a song sung by, perhaps appropriately, the Mother Superior to and for Maria. Climb every mountain.
Climb every mountain, search high and low, follow every byway, every path you know. Climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow, till you find your dream, a dream that will need all the love you can give. Every day of your life, for as long as you live. Climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow, till you find your dream, a dream that will need all the love you can give. Every day of your life, for as long as you live. Climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow, till you find your dream.
We are blessed today to hear from 4 different individuals from 4 different periods of Mary's incredible life journey. Mary's cousin, Catherine Landon. I will actually be sharing a letter that Catherine wrote. I'll be reading her eulogy for her. Then from Bill Cunningham, long time friend, and actually one of her instructors, which he'll talk a little bit about in his reading. Then we will hear from Kathy Ownby, Dillard's, and most certainly Mary's granddaughter, currently living in England. And then from Saritha Colbert. You saw Saritha in that opening song video. Saritha is a part of our Unity community. She had the wonderful blessing of driving Mary to Unity for the past, I guess, 5 or 6 years, and brought Mary to classes. And so she spent a great deal of time and loved Mary very deeply. So we will begin with Catherine's letter. Again, Catherine is Mary's cousin from Michigan. Since my cousin Mary has spent most of the past 60 years living in Florida, I'd like to share a bit about her time in Michigan. As you may know, she grew up in St. Clair along the shore of the beautiful St. Clair River. The river begins at the southern end of Lake Huron and ends near Algonac, where it flows into Lake St. Clair. The river is also a boundary with Ontario, Canada. Many men from St. Clair sailed freighters on the Great Lakes. Our grandpa, Papa Landon, was a captain on the freighter Peter Reese for many years. Our grandma, Mama Landon, used to board the ship from the smaller mailboat to accompany him on some trips. Now imagine climbing up a ladder that hung down over the side of the boat as both boats were moving down the river. Our grandparents' love for the river was carried on to the next generation and then was passed along to our generation too. Mary loved our river. It provided many summer days for swimming. Fishing for perch and walleye were also popular pastimes. Mary's dad and my dad used to fish right out in front of the Beischlag house. That tradition still carries on. My brothers, Pat, Mike, and Dave's wife, Margaret, used to put on great fish fries whenever Mary came north for a visit. Mary also loved to travel. She and Dillard had a motorhome, and they'd travel all over. In the years after he passed away, Mary would fly to Michigan for a visit. She and I would set off on a trip together. One year, we went to Indiana to see Notre Dame when school wasn't in session. We walked all over to see that beautiful campus. Another year, she suggested that we go to the Bay of Fundy. So off we drove through Canada and explored both New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. We even had tea with Bill Cunningham's mom, Grace. I think one of her favorite trips took place much closer to home. We did it each time she came to Michigan. We drive across the Blue Water Bridge in Port Huron to Sarnia, Ontario, and head south along our river to Moortown. That's the tiny area directly across from Mary's childhood home. She'd get such a kick out of seeing her house about a half a mile across the river. Then we'd go south to Sombra, Ontario, to catch the little car ferry to Marine City, Michigan. All in all, it was about a 35-mile round trip full of memories. I sure do miss those trips with my very special cousin.
Hello, my name is Bill Cunningham. I first met Mary Ownby in 1974. She was introduced to me as MC, Sister Mary Catherine. It was when she took a summer school class that I was teaching. In those days, we were both still members of Roman Catholic religious orders, I a priest and she a nun. Later that summer, she introduced me to a visiting former student, the woman who became the love of my life and my wife of more than 30 years, before she, like Mary's Dillard, preceded us both in death. Mary Catherine was my friend, counselor, and confidant for 46 years. The few words that follow do not do her justice, but if I were to say more, I know that she would, if she could, roll her eyes in rebuke. So just this with love, a poem that I wrote the day after she died. Goodbye, my friend. So sorry that at the end, the damn COVID-19 meant that we couldn't see nor be with you. It robbed us of a final chance to share more random memories of all the times that we laughed at how we had foolishly wrestled with God and the world, and especially ourselves. But you found peace. You found joy with Dillard, and even after he was gone. And your sense of humor kept you grounded while all around you, people consistently seemed to lose their minds over trivia. And you were grateful, always grateful, so thankful for all you had, all that had been given to you and all that you'd achieved, especially as a teacher of science and math, and as a counselor to your beloved girls of the class of '69. We won't be sipping Café Cubano anymore. In fact, I may never again enter our favorite place because without you, Tulipan would seem too ordinary. You were always able to glamorize it as you worked the crowd and chatted up others, whether they could understand you or not. You were truly a mensch, ready to befriend everyone without fear or prejudice. There are so many things I won't be able to share with anyone because nobody else will remember them. So I'll put them away in my heart, where I'll hold your memory close and be forever grateful that you came into my life and showed me such love over so many years. Rest in peace, dear friend. Rest in peace.
Not everyone can say that their granddad married an ex-nun he met in prison. That's how I would start stories about Mary, trying to explain that she was my grandmom, but she wasn't my grandmom was confusing sometimes. Family stories of her being our Mary, as it took almost 30 years for her to be willing to be called our grandmom, involved my brother spinning the teacups at Disney World so fast that she almost lost her wig, to camping trips around Lake Huron, time spent in her and Granddad's pool, and waking up to watch shuttle launches from their back steps. When I was a little troublemaker, I remember Mary and her sister Rose, with infinite patience, trying to help me learn fractions and working on my writing. Trapped in a camper with Granddad at the wheel, they helped things make sense with a lot of kindness and gentle coaxing that I'm sure came from all of Mary's years as a teacher. Later on, when I was a teacher myself, she loved to hear what I'd been doing with my students, and if I'd had problem students, she always had some advice that seemed to come back to leading with kindness. Everyone should have a Mary in their life. I was blessed that she met and married my granddad in the early 1980s. She became over 40 years one of my biggest cheerleaders, confidants, and sounding boards. In recent years, our phone calls from all over the world would start with, "Where are you?" I think she was afraid I was going to surprise her when I was supposed to be on the other side of the world. When I would plan trips, I would always send her my itinerary and then call, and we would go over. She would go get her atlas, and we would go over where I'd be or where I'd been. As many here I'm sure will attest, she laughed loudly and was a great listener. Most of my pictures of Mary are of her and I mid-laugh over something, usually just the happiness of being together. She was the first person in my family that I came out to, and her response couldn't have been more perfect. She told me congratulations and gave me a hug. Then she asked, "Who knows?" She wanted to make sure that she never outed me before I was ready, but she did counsel me to be honest and live my truth in everything I did. I know many of us gathered have lost a bright light in our life, and I know she's happy and laughing loudly with my granddad, who's probably grousing about why she took so long because he missed her. While I miss being able to pick up the phone and call her, I know she'll always be with me, and even left me a little sign. The morning I woke to the news that she passed, I looked out my window, and the sign on the bus stop that hadn't changed in months was new. It said, "You may feel alone, but you're never alone." I knew Mary had left me a message.
When I think of Mary Ownby, the first word that comes to mind is love. Mary was one of the kindest and most loving people I've ever met in my life. Mary, to me, was one of my great teachers in the fact that she loved intentionally, consistently. She was love in action. When I say that she's love in action, what I mean is that she could disagree with you and her love would remain the same, if not stronger. She was that kind of person. So I had the opportunity to be with her, to spend time with her And to be with her was a blessing to me because she has heavily impacted my life and the lives of my children and my grandchildren and other members of my family and some friends. Mary expressed love everywhere she went. So I had the opportunity to feel loved by her. But then I also got the opportunity to see her love everyone else. And in seeing that, that was a teachable moment for me. I feel like she was teaching me at that time to embody love, to love no matter what. There is a quote that I recently heard by the writer Sonia Sanchez, who was describing the late Toni Morrison. And I was going to paraphrase it a bit, but the quote was something like, there are some people who are really the blessed ones that are put here on this earth to make us review ourselves so that we can walk upright, finally, as human beings. That is what Mary Ownby did for me. That is the gift that she gave me. She gave me her love, and being in her presence always caused me to review, to reevaluate, to think about the things that I was going through and to try to see them in a different way. I was so blessed to be loved by her. Even in the times where they weren't our best, I was still so blessed. And that's what she would say. Oh, I am so blessed. If she came in contact with anyone at Unity, I am so blessed. Over in Paradise, at the pantry, just everyone she came in contact with, she felt blessed to be around. And that is where I saw her love. And lastly, one of her great loves, and I have to say this because I had a front row seat to this. I had a front row seat to the love and witnessing the love that she had for Taylor, who she described to me once as her boy and the son that she didn't give birth to. To see that love and that adoration that she had for him, it was a beautiful thing. And so I'm just glad that I had the opportunity and that I had the gift to be loved by Mary and to love her, because she was definitely loved.
I'd like to share with you a reading that Mary loved and shared often, particularly one line, which I will highlight for you. As many of you know, Mary taught at Cardinal Newman High School here in West Palm Beach, Florida. And she used to speak of a plaque somewhere around that campus that had a quotation from Cardinal Newman. And she loved that quotation, and she really took it in and became the energy of that. This is the reading, and then I will highlight one particular line from it. Again, from Cardinal Newman, from the Catholic tradition. So if you are from a different tradition, just incorporate, if you will, the name Jesus and substitute that for whatever can work for your heart. So the reading goes as such. Dear Jesus, help me to spread your fragrance everywhere I go. Flood my soul with your spirit and life. Penetrate and possess my whole being so utterly that my life may only be a radiance of yours. Shine through me and be so in me that every soul I come in contact with may feel your presence in my soul. Let them look up and see no longer me, but only Jesus. Stay with me, and then I shall begin to shine as you shine. So to shine as to be a light to others. The light, oh Jesus, will be all from you. None of it will be mine. It will be you shining on others through me. The line that Mary particularly used so very often, and really for me, and I'm sure for so many of you, she truly embodied this. The line is the second stanza of that prayer. Shine through me, be so in me. Shine through me, be so in me. Mary truly was the radiance of light and of love. She became that prayer. She shined forth as light and as love everywhere she went. And the light of spirit touched everyone that she came in contact with. Shine as me. Mary and I traveled quite a bit together. It was such a blessing, and we prayed and we laughed from literally from one coast of the country to the other. On her 76th birthday, she wanted to go to New York City, and I had lived in New York for many years, and she wanted to see New York through the eyes of someone who had lived there. So we were there, I believe it was 4 days, and saw several shows and just had a great time. But on her 76th birthday, on that evening, we saw the Broadway musical Wicked. So Wicked is the story, they say the true story behind the witches in the Wizard of Oz, the good witch and the bad witch. Toward the end of the musical, there's a song that so touched Mary, and she and I sang it to each other, and it really was kind of like a theme song for our relationship. Two incredible talents are going to sing. They actually recorded this song in honor and in memory and in celebration of Mary. It is that song. It is called For Good. And listen and feel the lyric, because I suspect it will touch you in ways that it has continued to touch me and will always touch me. Janan Deeb, Shelley Keeler singing from the Broadway musical Wicked, For Good.
I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most grow if we let them, and we help them in return. Well, I don't know if I believe that's true, but I know I'm who I am today because I knew through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, I have been changed for good. It well may be that we will never meet again in this lifetime. So let me say before we part, so much of me is made of what I learned from you. You'll be with me like a handprint on my heart. And now whatever way our stories end, I know you have rewritten mine by being my friend. Like a ship blown from its mooring by a wind off the sea, like a sea dropped by a skybird in a distant wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, because I knew you, I have been changed for good. And just to clear the air, I ask forgiveness for the things I've done you blame me for. But then I guess we know there's blame to share, and none of it seems to matter anymore. Like a mountain from orbit, like a passing by the wind of the sea, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say I've been changed for the better? I do believe I have been changed for the better. And because I knew you, because I knew you, because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
Ah, thank you, Janan, and thank you, Shelley. Mary, because I knew you, I have truly been changed for good. There's a reading, it is from a little-known book by Peggy Mullen. The book, interestingly enough, is called Mary's Way. And I've shared this at many, many memorials over the years. And Mary loved this, this particular writing. And it speaks of what I believe can be a living memorial to Mary. You know, memorials, funerals, whether they be virtual or in person, they're certainly about grieving the loss of the person, celebrating the life of the person. And at least for me, it's also about really looking at how that person lived and gleaning what we most admired about that person, and then giving that something to someone else as a living testimony, as a living memorial to that person. That's really ultimately what this writing is speaking of again, by the book Mary's Way from Peggy Mullen. Listen, feel the words. I was on a train on a raining day. The train was slowing down to pull into a station. For some reason, I became intent on watching the raindrops on the window. 2 separate drops, pushed by the wind, merged into one for a moment, and then divided again, each carrying with it a part of the other. Simply by that momentary touching, neither was what it had been before. And as each one went on to touch other raindrops, it shared not only itself, but what it had gleaned from the other. I realized then that we never touch other people so lightly that we do not leave a trace. Our state of being matters to those around us. So we need to become conscious of what we unintentionally share so that we can learn to share with intention. Mary lived a glorious, glorious life. It was not pain-free, it was not challenge-free, but she always, always rose to the occasion of every situation by shining forth as love. And so even as we end this memorial, I invite you to recognize that we have been changed for good and for good, because we knew and were touched by the love of Mary. Give that love to someone else. Let the love that you feel when you remember her be the radiance with which you touch someone else. Thanks to all of you who participated in this memorial. Thank you, Tim Yancey, for putting it together virtually. Thank you to all of our speakers, our musicians, and most of all, thank you, Mary, for being an unbelievable inspiration. Thanks for the memories. Thanks for the legacy. Thanks for the love. We have been changed for good.